Hello guys, welcome to module number 4, how to build and engage your social media community. So the secret sauce to social media is not only building a following, but you really want to find ways to engage that following and keep them coming back for more. So I have some tips that I think can help you with both of these things. So let's first talk about how do I build a following when I'm just getting started on social media? So I know a lot of you guys that I've talked to are somewhere in the range where you have like 200 to 300 people following you on social media, but you really want to grow your presence upwards to around the 1,000 mark. So these tips I feel confident will get you there pretty quickly. They've worked for me personally and for a lot of the businesses that I've helped. So let's dive in. Tip number 1, prioritize the social networks where your fans are most likely to be. So we talked a little bit about this in module number 1 when we were kind of digging into the strategy. And what this means is that you want to make sure that whatever social media platforms you're playing on are getting you in front of the right customers. So you're not just picking Pinterest, for example, because that's what you like, but you're really doing some research to find out where your current clients and hopefully future clients are hanging out on social media and that you show up there. Because obviously if you want them to engage with you, you have to go where your peeps are. So one way you can do that is to send out a questionnaire to your database, your email database, asking them what social media platforms they're on, what their preferred methods of communication are, and that can be a really good way for you to gain some insight into how to communicate with your clients both on and off of social media. So that's my first tip. My next tip for you is optimize your social media profiles. So what that means is make sure that you are being super consistent with how you appear on social media. I'm talking about usernames, profile photos, cover photos. Anytime someone's searching you, you want to come up immediately. So making sure that you're using your actual name or your business name, whatever you think your clients are Googling most, and that's what you're using for all your social media profiles. I also want you to customize the URL whenever possible. So Facebook and LinkedIn, for example, allow you to edit your URL. So instead of it being like this weird jumbled up URL, you can actually have it say facebook.com/CatCobzep or CopyKat Consulting. So that would be an example, and just making sure that you go in and that you take advantage of that because it's going to make it easier for people to find you, and that you're also filling out all the information on your profile. Because again, that's going to help make it easier for people to find you, and when they get to your page, know that they're in the right place. So that's just another tip for you. My third tip is really important, and it's one that a lot of people miss. So this tip is to promote your social media everywhere. And I don't mean like everywhere in an annoying, over-the-top fashion, but what I've noticed is a lot of people think of social media as like its own little, marketing bubble. They don't cross-promote across both their platforms and other marketing channels and touch points. So what I encourage you to do is to not just think of it in a bubble, think of ways you can incorporate it into your marketing. So a couple examples of that would be to send out an email every 6 months to your database kind of saying like, hey, I'm on these social media platforms. This is the type of content and value that I'm providing. If you haven't connected with me already, make sure that you do so there. That's another way to pull people from your database onto your Facebook page or your Instagram or whatever and get them to follow you. Also, if you have a personal profile and a business Facebook page, you can cross-promote there. So you can suggest that the friends that are following you on your personal page also follow your business page. That's an easy way to get likes like that. You can cross-promote on your social media channels. So if you have an Instagram account that doesn't have a lot of followers, but your Facebook page does have a lot of followers, you can go ahead and do a status update letting everybody know on your Facebook page, hey, I'm on Instagram, here's some great images that I've been sharing, make sure you go there and check it out. And my last tip for you is to try running some ads. So if you feel like you've kind of tapped out your database and everyone that you're currently working with in their sphere of influence. Another way to boost your following is to try running some promoted tweets, some Facebook-like ads, some Instagram ads. Those will help you grow your following quickly, but you just want to be careful with that you're not spending too much money. I would encourage you to start with a pretty modest budget, maybe $100 or a couple $100. Another kind of benchmark for you is that you should try to get your cost per like under 50 cents. Don't be spending like $5, $10 per like. If you're doing that, you need to adjust your strategy because that's way too much. And also another tip that I would give you is to make sure that you're keeping it local. So don't forget to go in and set the parameters to where your ads are only showing to people in your community, because you don't want them showing to people, all across the United States or people like in other countries that would not be interested in what you have to offer. So making sure that you keep it local. You try testing some different options and you're not spending a ton of money, but that can be a way to successfully and very quickly grow your following. So I hope you found those tips helpful. And let's move on to what is engagement and why is it important? So what is engagement and why is it so important? You've probably heard me use the word engagement a lot in this module, and you're thinking like, what is this girl talking about? Why do I care? So I'm going to tell you why you should care. So first off, engagement is defined as any time a person interacts with your brand on social media. So that could be them posting a comment, liking something that you posted, sharing it, writing a message or a review to your page, anything like that. Anytime that you're engaging with another human being on social media, or that is defined as engagement. So why does this matter? So it's really important for a couple reasons. First of all, it positions you as a professional. When people come to your page, they want to see that it's a happening place, that it's not just you posting a bunch or broadcasting a bunch of posts without any like real conversation or real depth to your page. So that engagement is going to show people like, hey, this is a real human being. They're obviously a pro because all these people in their network are here hanging out, engaging in meaningful conversations. I want to be a part of this too. So that's what you want people to think when they come to your, Facebook page or Instagram. Now, another reason why engagement is super important, especially if you're going to participate in Facebook, which I hope all of you are, is because Facebook has an algorithm. I don't know if you've heard of it or not, but basically that determines what posts show up in your news feed. So you've probably wondered at one point or another, why do I see certain posts from some of my friends all the time, and I see other posts from other friends very rarely, and then I don't see any of some of my friends' posts? Well, the reason being is that Facebook has this algorithm that tries to map out and determine what posts are most relevant to you. And a big part of that has to do with engagement. So if you have a post with a lot of great conversation, likes, comments, shares, stuff like that going on, Facebook's gonna notice that post and say, hey, like this is relevant, this is interesting to people, so we're gonna keep showing it. Now, if you have another post that doesn't have any engagement, no comments, no likes, no shares, it's going to stop showing it because it's gonna assume that it's just not interesting or relevant to people. So making sure that you're doing a good job of putting interesting content out there, engaging with people, and then keeping the conversation going is key, because that's going to really boost your reach and make sure that all this hard work that you're putting into your social media is being seen. So how do I get people to engage with my posts and the content that I'm sharing? We've talked about what engagement is and why it's important, but now let's get into how do I accomplish this? So one way you can accomplish this is by making sure that you're sharing valuable, useful content consistently. And so what I mean by this is that it's not just enough to promote your business. You got to make sure that what you're putting out there is worth showing up to be a part of and engage with. So your goal should be really to try to come up with posts and ideas for posts that are attention grabbing, have a lot of personality, that will stand out in the news feed and really highlight your professionalism. So For ideas on the type of content that will accomplish this, go watch or rewatch module number 2 because we cover that in depth there. But what I will say is that you want to make sure that you're following the 80-20 rule. 80% of what you're posting out there should be value-driven content, and then the other 20% can be a little bit more salesy, but you don't want to oversaturate your posts with real salesy promotional content because that's going to immediately turn people off and just kind of kill your engagement. So my favorite, and I think probably the most important way that you can really quickly boost your engagement is to show love to the people who interact with you on social media. So what I mean by that is I want you to make sure that you're following your social media platforms consistently and monitoring it pretty closely so that anytime someone interacts with you via posting a comment or a question or a review or something like that, you show up in a timely manner and respond to that and say, you know, thank you for interacting with me. Answer their question, whatever it may be, but just making sure that you're being super proactive and you're not just being a bystander, but that you're really jumping in and being a part of the conversation. Your community will appreciate this, they'll see this, and it will reward the action and keep them doing more of it. So that's like really the goal, is to make sure that you're rewarding people for taking the time out of their day to interact with you and encouraging the behavior. So that is probably the most important way and the quickest way that you can boost your engagement. My last tip for you here is to, again, try some paid ads. So if you have some content that you are really proud of or that is really important to you and you want to get it in front of people and you want them to see it and respond to it, then try doing some promoted posts on Facebook or promoted tweets on Twitter. And what I would suggest for this is that you carve out a budget of about $100. You split that up between maybe 5 different posts, so about $20 on each post, and you pay and boost it to your following. So not necessarily promoting it to people who don't know who you are, but promoting it to the people that have already followed you. And that way, it's just a guaranteed option of getting something that's super important to you and to your business in front of the right people. Building engagement into your social media strategy. So I want to encourage you to actually build out an engagement plan as a piece of your bigger social media strategy. Sounds pretty fancy, huh? Well, it doesn't have to be super complex. It can actually be quite simple. The point is that engagement's one of those things that will approach it with the best intentions and will say, I'm going to log in every day and I'm going to monitor my feeds and I'm going to comment and respond to anybody who interacts with me. But let's face it, we all get busy, we get distracted, and when we are busy, this is probably one of the first things that you're going to not follow through with. So I want to make sure that you sit down and physically write out 3 to 5 tactics that you can start implementing on and taking action on that will help increase your engagement. And I'm going to give you a list of some tactics that I personally use that have worked really well for me. You can pull from those tactics, or you can get creative and you can come up with your own, but this at least gives you a nice place to start. So some of those tactics are: add 5 new followers on Facebook every week. Another goal or tactic can be add 10 new connections on LinkedIn every week. Respond to every comment within 24 hours. Write a happy birthday message on each of my friends' wall on Facebook. Comment on at least 5 of my friends' posts a week. Facebook message 1 friend a week to check in. Share helpful tips or a cool article in groups that I'm a part of at least once a week. Check in at places I attend and tag people in my social posts. Use hashtags when appropriate. And this one you should just do no matter what, which is be consistent with this plan. So right there you can see those are each very specific tactics that I need to execute on a weekly basis that are going to help boost my engagement and keep me accountable. So I really encourage you, like I said, pick 3 to 5 of these, write them down, include them in your bigger social media strategy, and then get it on your calendar so that you have reminders and you make sure that you go in and actually complete these action steps.